Hey there guys, welcome to the Moto Gumption YouTube channel with me, Ishmael Barrientos. Today we'll be going through the garage and doing a small tour where all the fun and excitement will be happening, as well as a rundown of the Supercharged FZ1 raffle build, and a little bit about my personal bike and personal project, which will be involving a turbo. Well. Alright guys, and here is the garage where all the fun and excitement will be happening, and I'm going to give you that quick tour, and I do mean quick because it's nothing big and fancy. But the thing is, here is my actual workbench that I'll be doing all the head work on, as far as disassembly, assembly, and port and polish. Maybe not so much assembly after things are all grimy and dirty over here. I want to keep all that clean, keep all the debris out of the head. But over there I got another workbench if you look past my white bike. And over here is the car side, which there's nothing special will be going on with the cars just yet. I need to finish this project. This thing needs to be a monster as well. I just need to get it done. But over to this side of the room. Right here is another workbench that I'll be doing main assembly of engines or any kind of components, fuel systems. What's going to be going on right here. And then I have the greatest flag ever. But I have over there all my main tools, as well as my toolbox with my torque wrenches, the proper tools to take apart and disassemble a bike. I mean, you could get it done with some crescent wrenches and stuff like that, but come on guys, it's hard as hell. And if you are curious about these boxes are containing a majority of all the performance parts that are going either in the Supercharged raffle build or my personal turbo build. So I mean, I got everything laid out, guys. Everything is set up and ready to go. I just need to get this project going, guys. So if you guys want to see more, like I said, let me know. All right, and let's talk about Miss Green Girl, the reason why everybody is actually really here. So the thing is, if anybody who's watching who doesn't own an FZ1, it is a Yamaha FZ1. All right, this model right here is actually a 2014. It has actually less than 7,000 miles on the engine, on the setup, right? Now, it did go down on the left or the right-hand side. This being the left-hand side is very nice. It actually is a pretty appealing naked bike. That being said, I'm going to go back to the fairing model for whoever gets this. One other thing that I want to address here is that anything that you see on this bike that is damaged is actually being replaced minus the frame. Okay, I will be doing my due diligence to make sure that the frame is in good condition and safe for whoever gets this. I will ride this thing and prove it that I find it safe. I will be actually sanding down this material as much as possible, or as little as possible, to remove some of these deeper gouges and trying to do a color match on this frame. But the thing is what I'll be doing also is checking this area after sanding to see how thick the material is there with a ultrasonic gauge. So it uses ultrasonic waves to measure how thick that is. Why does that even matter? Well, that over there is a 2014 FZ1 as well. All right, so I'm going to be using a reference point on the thickness of that material to see how much I've really removed here. I want to know how thick this wall is to even begin with. Next, let's just talk about the damage right here on the engine. The clutch cover, easy fix. That will be getting a new one. The timing chain cover, which we won't be using on this particular build, because the Supercharger setup, actually there is a bracket right here that mounts it. This right here is actually the drive to the crank that turns the Supercharger. We'll get onto the aftermarket parts here in a little bit that's going on here. The damage on the rear set is pretty horrendous, but nice rear set minus the color, not my thing, gold. You know, the other one's good, but since one's bad, they're both trash. I'm really kind of, I don't know, I'm up in arms on this one. I just really like the sound of this exhaust, so it sucks that this thing got damaged, but since it's trash, we're changing this out. This passenger peg actually got damaged and scraped up right here, so that is actually going to be changed. Man, this thing's becoming a money pit. The next thing is the tail fairing, which actually fared pretty well if we're going down the right-hand side. Looks like the passenger peg took most of the blunt force there, but just a little scrape right here. being changed out, changed out, changed out. All this is being changed out. The tank got scraped up right here. This is going to be getting a new tank as well. And the tank cover here got scraped up. So all this stuff that you see so far will be changed out. The handlebars actually got tweaked, so going to be getting some new handlebars. I did make sure that there's no twist in the forks, so you don't have to worry about that. This is actually the handlebar that is bent. The next thing is the grips being changed out to some new ones because this one's scraped up, so I might as well make a match. And if you guys are curious of the color, no, it is not staying this green. It's actually pretty nice. Not really my thing, but I feel that what I have in store and already got for you guys is a lot better than this green. We'll see once that gets going. Things on the inside of this that is changing. So inside of the tank and the fuel system that won't be pointing, I can't point out, will be the fuel injectors. Will be changed out to some bigger injectors. Stock ones can't do it. They lean out the very top of the rev range. And accompanying the high flow fuel pump, I'll have to drill the tank and make the fuel system a return style. That way, when I add the 1-to-1 fuel pressure regulator, it can bleed off the excess fuel back into the tank. The stock fuel rail will be used. Moving to the bottom left-hand side of the bike, let's start with the rotors. These rotors are aftermarket, of course, but they will be staying on. I actually like the design. They work well. When applying the brake hard, there is no wobble. Sometimes these style of rotors give a little bit of wobble in the front end when applying brake. Engine ice will be going into the radiator here. It actually works quite well on my supercharged build. It keeps the engine pretty cool during the hot summer. I haven't had any issues. It stays around 165 to 185, and that's with some pretty good usage. We're going to be going to a quick shifter. So I will be changing this out. This rear set will most likely be going to stock, but we'll be installing a quick shifter here. I will give you the install video as well. We'll be going through all of this. The chain, guys, one of the biggest things when you want more horsepower, you have to have something that's going to supply it and not break. Okay, so the chain is going to be changed out. Most likely this is the stock chain, but I will be putting in a EK ZVX3. It's a heavier duty chain. It is a 530 chain. I will not be downsizing. If anything, I am upgrading the chain to hold the horsepower and torque. Just covering your butt. One more topic at hand is mirrors. Will I be going back with the handlebar mirrors, or just going ahead and putting the stock mirrors or styled mirrors that the fairing came with? That's one thing that we'll have to talk about. Overall, not a bad deal. I mean, we're not changing everything on the bike, but everything that people like to do to these bikes and or bikes in general is getting done. So let's go ahead and talk about the power commander and the ignition module. Those are actually in the tail section already. Let's take a look. So back here is the power commander, and well, $1,000. Somebody left this back here, so actually it's gonna go with the bike. Joke around about that, but seriously though, this is gonna go for somebody who has I don't know, an adequate helmet, you know, or maybe they need a new jacket, some riding gloves, something that's gonna help support them for anything that were to happen on the bike. Like I said though, there is an ignition module down here, as well as the power commander, which I'll be using these for the tune. Going with the bike, guys. Alright guys, and let's talk about my my personal bike, which is actually supercharged at the moment, but it will be going turbo. That being said, it makes 215 to the wheel, and that is actually on an eddy current dyno. So if you're curious if it's a loaded dyno, yes it was. It was not a an unloaded dyno, so those are real numbers there to the wheel. But I want more. I love that it's a upright bike, but it can hold its own against super sports, and it really does surprise them. It will be getting turboed. That includes a turbo that can house up to 550 horsepower to the wheel. It's going to be intercooled as well. The bike, depending on how it takes the tune with just the intercooler, I will be putting a water methanol injection on it. And again, guys, I'm going to go through all this stuff, what I'm doing, and maybe it might pertain to whatever you're doing on your bike or even car if it transfers over. But the main thing is I'm going to make sure that the engine is built properly. That includes, rods, pistons, so we can lower the compression, make things happy when it's actually being tuned. So we can actually run, 15, 16, maybe 20 plus horse or PSI in the engine, making sure everything is sound and everything is great on that aspect of the build. As far as pistons and rods, new bearings, of course, I will also be dealing with the head valve springs and that heavier valve springs, not touching the valve so much, but porting the head for some better flow, not so much for more horsepower, but to also relieve pressure inside the cylinders and relieve some of the heat that more pressure, boost pressure causes. Exhaust system has to completely change for this part of the build. Our fuel system is actually going to have to change as well. That being said, the injectors will have to go even higher on the CC rating, as well as my fuel pump will have to be upgraded. So I'm going to do some changes there, and you guys will be coming along for that ride. This thing is going to be a monster. If I can have it my way, it'll definitely pull or push over 300 horsepower to the wheel. And if I can really have it my way, I'm gonna shoot for 350 horsepower to the wheel on a 998 cc sport touring bike. This is not a sport bike, it's a sport touring bike. Let's see what we can actually get this thing to go. And yes, I will be addressing the clutch, okay? I know the clutch cannot hold that, as well as the clutch basket will grenade with that kind of horsepower. So I got some tricks up my sleeve, some research I've done, some R&D on what's actually gonna be made and can fit in this bike. Let's just actually get into this thing because I cannot wait. So I will be deciding if I will be building these things in conjunction or I will be strictly on this one. I would like to give you guys as much content as I can. So, and there's actually, depending on how these builds go, there will be other things in the pipeline for future builds, maybe a cafe racer, okay, with a modern engine. Alright guys, thank you for hopping over to the Moto Gumption channel. For today, that's actually all I got for you, but for the next one, I actually have something really cool in stored. I have set up a dyno session so we can get a base run on the supercharged build, alright? So we're gonna get that in naturally aspirated form, as well as getting a base run for the supercharger that's going turbo, alright? So we can get the two, so we can compare them after, to make sure that we did a good job, to also get those numbers that everybody loves to see. But for today, guys, that's actually all I got, and I'll see you on the next one.